Hey everyone, welcome back to the Cast and Spear podcast. Today we have a special guest, one of my favorite influencers in the spearfishing space. I don't even know, is influencers a good term for you? But one of my favorite video creators, how about that? Storytelling genius, Lenny Logsdale, Aquatic Apes. I'm pretty sure if you spearfish, you've seen some of his videos on TikTok, YouTube, etc. Welcome to the show, Lenny.
Cool, thanks man. I'm excited to do this.
Perfect. So today we are going to be talking about spearfishing, a little bit of backstory of, where Lenny moved from, what it's like spearing in Bali. So let's maybe give us a quick backstory of where you moved from.
So a couple of years ago, at this point it was like 3 years ago, I was living in New York, and I was working as a custom tailor selling suits, like business suits to like lawyers and bankers and stuff. And I would be at work and I would be watching like freediving videos or spearfishing videos, and I was always enjoyed the ocean and that sort of thing. And in New York, you're maybe not more further removed from that than anywhere else in the world. Anyways, basically, I was quit my job and I was going to move to Colorado. And in between those two things, I was going to travel around Asia. And then I started that travel, and here I still am a couple years later. I ended up doing my freediving instructor course in Thailand, and then a little while later, I moved here to Bali, where I got into spearfishing. So now I live in this. It's in the northeast corner of Bali, where it's a big freediving community and a fairly big spearfishing community here as well. Just go out most days and make some YouTube videos as well.
That's
find the time.
That's awesome. And we're going to be talking a lot about making videos in other episodes this week, guys. But tell me a little bit about like that actual move. Like, what made you be like, okay, I'm going to go to Southeast Asia? Like, what was it that got you over the hump? Because I know a lot of people that I've talked to, it's like always a dream to go travel or do something, but you actually took the leap. So what got you over that hump?
I mean, I was lucky for sure. Like I didn't have many physical assets beyond just a car and no kids. And my girlfriend did the trip with me as well. So there wasn't like a girlfriend or a wife that was not wanting to do that. So then not only do you have to drop everything, but you also have to end a relationship. So it's not so easy in those senses for a lot of people. And I was lucky that those worked out. And to be honest, it was like just effects from like people like I read The 4-Hour Workweek from Tim Ferriss, and that had a massive effect. And that's the book actually where I came up with the idea of Thailand, because he mentions it specifically in that book. And then other like podcasts, like Joe Rogan podcast talks about things like this a little bit. And I guess I was just so tired of the city life that I was willing to take the risk to do that.
Dude, 4-Hour Workweek is an amazing book. That's the one book that I read after college, and then went on that whole entrepreneurial route as well. It's like a total plant the seed and go explore.
It makes it sound so easy. And I'm sure there's some people who read that book and quit their job, which was an amazing job, and then their other business didn't work out. And there's probably people out there, and that's unfortunate, but Tim Ferriss makes it sound easy. And it's definitely doable. I don't know about easy, but doable.
It's doable. And then when you were in New York, did you ever spearfish? Or was it just like dreaming of spearfishing from hearing like the guests on Rogan?
Just dreaming, just watching videos. I even one day went over to Long Island to a spearfishing store and bought a little JBL gun. I had no idea. I didn't know what equalization was. I didn't know what Frenzel was. I didn't know one single thing about it, but I thought, all right, so you just get a gun. And then I was like, all right, so what do I do with this thing? I just go to the ocean and look around. How does this work? And I didn't use it for like 2 years. And I actually brought it here to Bali with me. And I still don't use it here because it's way too small. It's about this big.
But, a tiny little halibut gun.
Yeah.
And then,
but apparently the spearing in New York is good. I'm very excited to try it whenever I do go back home.
I've heard the same thing as well.
I see these striped bass and stuff, yeah.
And then, so you go to Asia, you went straight, I'm guessing, to Thailand. Was that Chiang Mai or was that Bangkok? Where in Thailand?
Well, I traveled around, a lot of time in Bangkok, a little bit of time in Chiang Mai, but I spent most of the time on this island called Koh Tao. It's in the Gulf of Thailand. It's right next to Koh Samui, which is the more popular one of them. And it's basically just a dive destination. It's a small island. It's like one or two square miles or something. And on that little island, there's like 10 freediving schools and 150 scuba schools or something. I think that I don't know. It's the destination to get your scuba license, and there's also some okay freediving there as well. No spearfishing though. It's not allowed on Koh Tao,
Gotcha. And then
which
if
is
you
why I left. Wanted to come to Bali.
right, so if you had to rank all the places that you've been in Asia regarding spearfishing, what would you say they are? Is it Bali at the top or?
Indonesia, not Bali.
Oh,
Bali is okay, but Indonesia is amazing.
gotcha.
Bali's really, really heavily fished. There's every single local here, if they're not working in tourism, then they're basically a fisherman, especially in the area where I am. And a lot of them also are good scuba divers because they've trained the locals to work in the scuba industry, and they'll often take their scuba skills into the ocean, and which is allowed here depending on the area, but they're not always selective when they go do that. And it's just a lot of people in Bali, and so the fish are not as numerous, and they're very smart here. But in Indonesia, if you go specifically further east, the further east you go, it's just crazy the amounts of fish, just massive amounts of fish, and most of them have never seen spearfishers before. And especially if you're going past like 30 or 40 feet, just like a little bit more than your beginner spearo, it's crazy how many fish there are. It's so definitely Indonesia. But I haven't really speared in Thailand or these other places, but I'd be surprised if it was as good.
Right.
But yeah.
So tell us a little bit about a day in the life of like how you spear over there.
Well, I have a little boat with a 40 and a 15 horsepower engine on the back. So in my area, we just take that boat out. There's a bunch of fads out off the coast, and right now it's windy season, so we don't usually go out there because the waves are big. But when it's not windy season, they're full of mahi usually, and wahoo, and sometimes tuna if you're lucky. And then there's just a bunch of reefs here, and the reefs are beautiful. It's a pretty popular dive destination in Bali. If you want to go scuba diving or free diving, this is the area to go. But if you want to hunt on the reef, you really have to be kind of a deeper spearo. Like you're not going to catch really many fish at all, less than 15 meters, 45 feet. And really, you're still not going to catch many until you go past 20 meters, which is doable for everybody. But if you're starting off, you maybe don't want to learn on the reef here. It's just too heavily fished. I think the fish are still there. They're just deeper and smarter.
You said you had a boat. Did you buy one out there?
Yeah, I bought a boat.
Nice.
It's nothing fancy. You can see it on my YouTube channel. It's but by Balinese standards, it's fancy. It's got two engines on the back, and very inexpensive. As far as boats go in the U.S., my dad had a boat a few years ago, and it was much more expensive than mine. But this thing was, I think it was about $600 or $700, and then the engines were, I can't remember, a little more than. I think the 15 horsepower was a little less than 1,000, and the 40 horsepower was a little more. But yeah, business expense now, so
I love it.
lucky to be able to get that.
Absolutely. So yeah,
But yeah, we'll take the boat out, either free dive or spearfish, depending on the weather. We'll choose a location.
So how do you plan out your days, your dives? Like, is it just like, okay, the weather's good, we're gonna go hit a fad, or which is a fish attraction device if you guys don't know, but like how do you kind of plan it out?
Yeah, I don't know. It's sort of whimsical. If I'm feeling good, then I'll want to go to some of the deeper spots. And if I'm with my dive buddies who are also a little bit deeper and I can trust them to watch me, we'll go to the deeper spots. If maybe I had a couple too many beers the night before, I'll go to the fads where you don't really have to dive that deep usually. Because mahi are just on the surface, and but it's more whimsical. I don't know. And if the waves are big, we'll go in a spot where there's less waves.
Is the beer any good out
No,
there?
no real problem. Huh?
Is the beer any good
No,
out there?
no,
No, not good.
it's fine. It's fine.
Oh, that's
Sometimes
awesome.
you can find Western beer, and then it's good.
Did your buddies come out with you, or did any of them follow you from New York or Connecticut or any of those areas?
No, no, my girlfriend's here with me. But none of my buddies. They're all still working in finance and real estate and the normal Connecticut, New York jobs.
So the dive buddies are locals then.
Yeah, locals like here where I am in Bali. It's a huge freediving community. So there's a ton of freediving instructors, and there's even a pretty big spearfishing community here throughout all of Bali and Indonesia, and so you just meet people like there's a spear gun shop down in the south in the tourist area called Andre Spear Guns, and so I met a lot of people through that place, and I taught a couple of the other instructors here where I am to spearfish because they're way better freedivers than me, so they picked it up fairly quickly, and it's good to be able to have them to watch your back.
That's perfect. Well, guys, I think that's a perfect place for us to stop. We have Lenny with us this entire week. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about storytelling and getting into more of the content creation. So make sure you check him out on @AquaticApes everywhere, and we'll see you on the next one.